Hello, brothers and sisters. The title of the message today is Returning to the Source of Life. Book 3, The Oneness of Life. Number 11, Good Shepherd, number 3. When Korea constructed highway from Seoul to Busan, there is a special story behind. German Prime Minister loved Korean President Chung Hee-park so much like his own son. German Prime Minister whispered to the ear of President Park and said, Hitler committed so many crimes, but one thing he had done good was he constructed Autobahn, German highway. After he listened to German Prime Minister's words, he planned to construct Korean highway. Korea did not have that much money, so he borrowed the foreign loan and constructed highway. Many people were against his plan to construct the highway in Korea. They said, we don't have too many cars in Korea. We don't produce any cars in Korea. And why do you construct highway in Korea? One of church brothers worked at the construction site at the chief of the construction section. He said one opposition party leader was lying down at the construction site in order to protest against President Park's plan. After the newspaper company reporter took a picture, he rose up and went away. But President Park pushed ahead the construction. So many people died during the construction. Korea did not have good equipment, so it was so difficult. But the construction was finished anyway. After the construction was completed, the distribution industry became active. It took about 12 hours from Busan to Seoul, but after the construction, it only took 4 hours. When I moved to Seoul, there was sea fish like hairtail or croaker. But after the construction of highway, sea squirt came up from southern sea. How can those sea squirts come up to Busan to Seoul without the highway? Those sea squirts are rare in other part of ocean. They were just in the East Sea. I have never seen before, but now they were selling in Seoul street side. I said to myself, wow, highway is such a wonderful thing. As the distribution industry became active, money circulation became so active. In such a way, finally, Korea was known as one of the automobile production countries of the world. The way is so important. If there is no way, we cannot do anything. How can sea squirt come up to Seoul City? It took 12 hours from Busan to Seoul by slow-running train. Sea squirts cannot be preserved in fresh manner. I one time bought sea squirt and tried it, but it was too smelly. I couldn't eat it. It was not as fresh. I thought I can never eat sea squirt from now on. But several years later, we went to Geje Beach for swimming with CCC members. They bought some sea squirts and they asked me to try. So I tried it. It was so fresh, it was so delicious. I love the fresh sea squirts. It took 12 hours from Busan to Seoul. It couldn't be fresh and it couldn't be delicious. The highway is so important. Our way leading us to the Lord is so important as such. People would say Abraham is the ancestor of our faith. Let's imitate his faith. But we should not say that. Abraham himself is the way leading us to the Lord. Suppose Abraham knew Jesus, he could have said, I'm the way that leads you to Jesus. That road is really the way that leads us to Jesus. It is true with Isaac, it is true with Jacob, it is true with Moses also. Those so many prophets in the Bible are all the same. If anyone enter into that way, whoever that may be, they will go to Jesus. There are many interchanges on the highway between Busan City and Seoul City. If we don't pass by without Gyeongju City interchange, it would be much faster, but as Gyeongju City is one of the famous sightseeing resorts, the highway was designed to go up to Seoul from Busan by way of Gyeongju. Pass by Gyeongju, pass by Daegu, pass by Kimcheon, pass by Daejeon, then go up to Seoul. If you call Busan City as Abraham, Gyeongju City is Isaac, and Daegu City is Jacob, they all led their life in such a way. In order to construct a highway to Jesus, Matthew chapter 1, it said, this is the genealogy of Jesus, who was the descendants of Abraham and David. That was the way that leads us to Jesus. It is not just the physical genealogy, but it was the way for all men coming to Jesus. If you look into genealogy of Jesus thoroughly, we can learn the fact that this is the way leading toward Jesus. This is the way leading toward God. Abraham and David and their descendants, 5 ladies, they are all linked together with Jesus. They are all the way themselves. This is the duty of the shepherd through this way, leading people to Jesus, leading people to the cross. This is our duty. Disciples of Jesus followed Jesus, but at the cross they turned back and ran away. They made an oath to follow Jesus, even they may have to throw away their own life. They confessed, we have discarded everything and followed Jesus. And they made a promise, everyone may forsake the Lord, but I'll never forsake the Lord. That was a difficult decision for them. But when they saw the crucified Christ, they said, he's the Messiah, and ran away. If you don't follow the path of Jesus, who is the descendants of Abraham and David, there are many byways that we can turn around and run away. But if you follow that right path, there is no more byways that we can turn around and run away. We surely follow that path. I want to convey the last word to you, pastors. You yourself must become the way and the one who will be able to open up the way for other people. If you become that person, that's satisfactory. About other issues you may lacking to some extent, well, it's inevitable. Some people are born generous, and also there are people who are not generous at all. This morning I had an argument with my wife. As I felt so cold, so I called my wife, but she thought I was just joking maybe. I was angry and shouted out to my wife, I'm too cold. How can I don't get angry at all through my life? I apologized to her before I left home because I was supposed to deliver a sermon. Leave your gift there in front of the altar. First, go and reconcile with your brothers. Then come and offer your gift. Even though we may argue with brothers, the path must be clear anyway. If anyone whose way is vague, even though they may lead their life in the model man's life, there are so many excellent people and model people much more excellent than us. In Confucianism world and the Buddhism world, there are so many excellent people. There are so many people, we must respect them. Even though we cannot receive respect from other people, but the way is so important. We must fix our eyes on the way and move forward. We have to walk through this way. Only then I myself can become the way itself. It is impossible for us to become the path guide while we don't walk the way ourselves. Referring to the way of life, we cannot tell other people there is the way. As if Jesus said, I'm the way to the people who followed me. We should say, I am the way. If not, we cannot talk about the way. We cannot talk about the way in an objectified manner. We cannot talk about the way using our reasoning. As people talked about the way using their reasoning, They made doctrines. With doctrines, we cannot tell people about the way. People make doctrines in order to show people the way, but that's not the truthful way. In order not to make members scattered, people memorize Apostles' Creed in every worship service, but in such manner we cannot make the way of life. I myself must become the way itself. I myself must become the way. Only then I can lead my sheep through the way. If I am not the way, I cannot lead my sheep through the way. Entering to this path is the most important thing. God showed me about Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob through Watchman Nee, and he let me enter into that path of life. Watchman Nee explained about those three people. If he's not that very person, how can he explain about the three people so vividly? If Watchman Nee is not that spiritual man, how could he explain so vividly and so clearly? When I first opened up Watchman Nee books, I was so much overwhelmed by the way he interpreted the Bible. I learned the Bible through my professor in theological college who studied the Bible so hard all through his life. But Watchman Nee was in a quite different dimension, world. As I read his books, I felt really he's a different kind of man. As if he himself became Abraham himself, as if he entered into the heart of Abraham and came out. How could he? Thus, I was captivated by him. There are so many people who read, watch many books in the world, but anyway, I have found my way in himself. Thus, as I cherished that way, eventually I was bumped into Jesus himself and discovered the final path. Finally, I bumped into the issue. Why couldn't the cross of Jesus solve every problem? I just cherished just one path, and why couldn't he solve everything? If you go down to Busan City, there must be sea squirt. But when he arrived in Busan, there was no sea squirts. When he started from Seoul, we said, if he arrived in Busan, we'll be able to eat sea squirts. But when we arrived in Busan, there was no sea squirts. What shall we do? If we come to Jesus, we'll be confronted with the cross surely. We have to bump into the cross and solve all the problems of our life right there. If not, everything will turn in vain. Those people who don't have that kind of experience, they would say, whether we believe in Confucius, whether we believe in Buddha, or whether we believe in Jesus, what difference does that make? They will ask the question. Thank you, hallelujah. May God bless every one of you. Thank you again. Thank you. Thank you.